Hi everyone, today we are looking at the game between Yakubboev Nodirbek and Donchenko Alexander. This game was played a few hours ago on the tournament FIDE World Cup 2025. Let's start checking this game. D4, knight f6, c4, g6, and f3. Okay, f3 looks a little bit strange, but it's absolutely normal move. It's called anti-Grunfeld variation. Why? Because if we play knight to c3 after d5, c take on d5, knight take on d5, position will be um, normal for black because after e4, take, bishop g7, this trade of knights very important for black because they don't waste a time. So that's why f3 is completely different variation, because if now black want to play something like that after e4, knight to b6, knight to c3, of course it's not winning position for white yet, but now knight on b6 not very active piece, so now it's worse variation for black. So and why? Because now we can see that two pawns in the center captured it's strong. So one advantage here, more space on the board, and so on. And of course, main plan here will be bishop e3, and somewhere we can just push on the king side and try to mate the opponent's king. So that's why after f3 d5 it's not a good idea. So c5 was played in the game. c5 it's okay. Of course we can we can take on c5, but it's not a good thing for white in general. Okay, because here the best move it's very not obvious thing, because e6, yeah. Maybe on the first glance you think about queen a5 or knight to a6 to take it back, but it would be not the best move in the position. So e6, and after bishop e3 to protect this pawn, b6, one more move. Again, that's really hard to understand why we must do something like that. CB, AB, knight c3, bishop to a6, somewhere attack this pawn, bishop go to a4 to open this move for the pawn and to continue development of our king side. So position was really, really interesting here. Okay, but of course, in the game, Yakubboev wanted to do something else. He played d5 to capture more space on the board, d6, e4, and now we can see that pawn on f3 helped us to do that. Yeah, we captured more space. Yes, one problem with this move is that we can't develop our knight to f3. This is very good square for our knight, but okay, not a huge problem here. So bishop to g7, knight to e2, e6, knight to c3. Okay, it looks strange again because somewhere we wanted to play knight c3. It seems more natural move, yeah. But if we know some variations here and we understand main plans here, we understand that after knight c3, this knight will have good possibilities in the position, because the only active move in the position somewhere to take on d5. Of course, white will take with this pawn because they want to keep these two pawns in the center of the board. So that's why the standard move here. And the next idea will be to play knight d2 and knight c4. And knight on c4 will be really, really good, because this knight will attack the pawn on d6 and can help us to create the game on the queen side, somewhere like a4, a5, and so on. Okay, that's why this knight goes to c3, e take on d5, c take on d5, a6. Of course, black want to play b5, and it's very, very important moment, because if white do something else here, like bishop e3 or bishop e2, after b5 we can say that position will be even worse for white, because this active plan will distract everything that is connected to our active plan on the queen side. So that's why we are forced to play a4 to interfere this idea. Knight to h5. Again, very standard move here. Maybe looks strange, but it's very normal idea here. So knight go to h5 to give possibility the queen go to h4, and it's a threat, of course, because after queen h4 we can't play g3, because after knight g3, h take on g3, queen take on h1, and rook will be unprotected. So it's a first idea of this move. And second idea is that somewhere we want to push f5. Yeah, why? Because here we don't have any possibilities with b5. So this flank for black is closed. So the only possibility to do something in this position to attack the center with f5 move. Yeah, so they prepare it, and of course they have one more idea, queen h4. So white have a lot of interesting possibilities here, but they made maybe the strangest one, queen to e2. Okay, first one. Here was even possible to play g4, yeah, to attack and don't spend attention for this queen h4, and after that king to d2, yeah. And computer writes here that it's even the best move in the position, but of course if we understand that white prepared this variation, they maybe made some homework with computer here. So when I analyzed this position with computer, not very strong computer, but for our review it's enough. A computer wrote here that absolutely everything good for white, and white could do that in the position, but okay. So queen f2, it would be just bishop e2, and after knight f4, king c2. Yes. So and now, yes, these two active pieces do something here, but all these activities are expired. So white want to develop some pieces and create a game here. So in general, it was okay for white with good advantage here, but he did another thing. He played queen to e2. Okay, this queen e2 looks very strange. Yeah, if we compare these two moves, even hard to understand what is the difference. And queen c2 looks even better because somewhere we don't interfere to develop our bishop and castle there. So but exists very, very tactical idea here. So a queen to e2, if we play it, we interfere to play f5, because after e take on f5 it will be a check. So f5 impossible to play here, and queen h4 impossible. Okay, possible, but not good idea too, because after queen to h4 we can play even here g3, and after knight take on f3, queen to f2, and now we pin this knight on g3, and he can do something with that. So that's why queen will be forced to go somewhere back to e7 or to somewhere else, and we will put our bishop to g2, castle f4, and so on. Position will be very unpleasant. Or even after queen to e7, we can play g4 with idea if he come back, we can just put the queen here, and this this endgame will be very, very unpleasant for black. Why? Because white have very white has very interesting playing plan connected with h4 and somewhere h5 or g5 and so on, and to continue push with our pawns on the king side. Or if we want to do something on the queen side, we can push a pawn to a5 and somewhere make this maneuver, knight d2, knight c4, and put our knight on b6, or to attack this pawn on d6. So it means that black just can do something and they will wait for active moves from the opponent. So it's a very annoying position for black. So that's why in the position Donchenko played bishop d4. It's a strange one again, but we can describe it easily because bishop protects this square from the queen, and again we want to play queen h4 with these ideas like knight take on g3. So of course white must do something here, and they do it. g4. Yeah, they start this active game. Queen to h4, king to d1, knight to f6, king to d1. Here was idea maybe knight g3, but it doesn't work because queen to e1, and we again pin this knight to g3, and this knight can go somewhere because the queen will be unprotected. So again, knight g3 doesn't work. Knight to f6. And computer wrote here that knight g7 the best move, but it's completely impossible to find for the just plain chess player, because for what? I checked some variations, and this knight just will stay here and don't do nothing with this bad position. So knight f6 looks better because somewhere our knight can be sacrificed on g4, on d5, on e4, everywhere. So it gives more possibility for black. King to c2. Okay, knight to d7, somewhere to open again this idea f5 and to put the knight on e5 to activate this knight. Okay, bishop to f4 to attack this pawn on d6, queen to f6, protected the pawn and attacks the bishop on f4, bishop to e3, knight to e5. It looks maybe not very bad for black, but if we talk about long prospects about this position, it's very terrible for black, because very hard to interfere for a lot of plans like bishop g2, h3, f4, and it will be just really painful for black, because they don't have stable center, they don't have stable squares for the pieces, so it means that position will be really dangerous. So knight d2, bishop queen to h4, bishop f4, h5, bishop to g3, queen to e7. So again, g take on h5, very strange move. On the first glance, if you think from the positional part of chess. So because after g take on h5, we destructed our pawns chain. Yeah, now we have isolated pawn on h2, and we can think that it's a problem for us, but no. In this position, it's too aggressive position for this type of thinking, and now white want to destruct the whole black's position with f4, e5, and it will be the end of the game. So this small thing like isolated pawn on h2 in current moment absolutely not a big problem for white. So h4, somewhere rook a7. Black want to do something with development, but we can see that all these pieces can go somewhere on interesting square. So because bishop has only one square. Okay, if we put our knight on d7, it will interfere our knight to go back somewhere, because we can see that knight has only one square too. So 3 pieces has only one square on the board now. So it means that position is with a lot of problems for black. So of course, if white will play everything good here, they must win this game, and very easily. So rook to a7. What is the idea of this move? Somewhere we want to play b6 and open this line for the rook, because somewhere this rook can protect something on this rank. So they try to develop the rook. Okay, a5, b5. Somewhere they, of course, if we just put our rook and don't play b5, positioning will be even worse because we spend one more tempo for nothing. So b5, a take on b5, a take on b6, rook b7, and bishop take on e5. Here was possible to win in more aggressive way, to play f4, but it was really hard to calculate everything, and from positional side it can be dangerous for white, yeah, because if they will not finish the attack with the winning moves, they will have some problems with pawn structure and so on. Bishop g4, queen to g2, knight to d7, and main idea here not d5 because it's too protected square, yeah, like how many, 1 2 3 4 5 5 pieces look at this square, so it's very dangerous to play e5 for white, but f5, yes. If you talk about positional gaming here, we understand that we gives for this knight very good square, and it looks very strange because our king is too open here, and somewhere we can just miss something and lose something. So it means that position would be too aggressive here, and from both for both sides. Yes, so that's why Yakubboev made very good practical move. Take, knight to c4. Now he protected his pawn on b6. Somewhere he want to take on e5, not immediately, but later. Rook take on a4, h4. Yeah, we gave this pawn for our opponent, but it's not a big problem. Take, knight take on e5, take, and now we can see that a lot of problems in the position. Black's position, why? Because not enough development in the position, very strange pawn structure, and so on. Queen e3. Now they just want to take on c5 and win a pawn. So rook take on b6 and b4. Why we didn't take this pawn on c5? Because here exists the only move in the position to protect everything. And of course, it must be winning position too, yeah. But now white must calculate a lot, because if white give for black some time for development, this position can be very complicated. And again, white must do a lot of strong moves yet. But after b4, it's completely different situation, because rook can't take on b4 because queen c5, and now rook stays on different position, and queen can go to d8 to protect everything. And after queen to h2, bishop e2, of course, position lost, because black can't protect these two pieces in the same time. Okay, so that's why with rook we can't take it, with pawn we can, because after queen b6 here position will be lost absolutely. I don't know, with this move or with plain move bishop e2 to protect second rank, but okay, doesn't matter. Somewhere it must be winning and very easy. So it means that c take on b4 doesn't work. Knight to d7. Black want to protect something, but of course they can't, because after bc, one more protection from the queen. Rook to b4, c6. We just want to push our pawns. Queen h2, d6, d7. Of course, black are forced to take this pawn on d7, because if not, of course, these two pawns will finish the game. So take. Here rook a6, of course, one extra pawn, absolutely winning position. Rook to d6, rook b7, queen d2, knight c5, queen d5, rook c. Okay, and rook take on g6, and after f take on g6, queen d8, because after here we can just take here, and win the position. So that's why he played knight e6, protected here, queen to d6, rook to e7, rook g4, f6, queen b8 here. Of course, we can't play here because mate. So rook e8, and the final move in the position, take rook g8, take, and one extra piece without compensation, of course. Of course, Donchenko resigned in this position, and Yakubboev played his first game in this match with Donchenko and won it. So tomorrow he must make a draw, and so after that he will pass. So we will see tomorrow how it will be. And thank you for watching. So please push the like because it will help me to develop our channel. And see you on our next video. Thank you and goodbye.